Hi guys, this is Ranjit, and in this video we'll be having a look at the Xiaomi 14 Ultra smartphone. And guys, this is not a review unit or anything. This is a unit that I had actually purchased, and this is definitely a camera centric smartphone. And because I was not keeping that file, I had summer flu, I couldn't post the unboxing video, but luckily now I've used this smartphone for the last 6 days. So yes, this is not my full in-depth review, but you can call it overview or kind of a mini review based on my experience of using this smartphone for the last couple of days. And we'll be going over all the pointers, and many of you have also asked, actually I was posting quite a bit on Twitter about it, so I got a lot of questions. So I'll be covering all these important aspects so that you have a better understanding of this smartphone and why I feel this smartphone is very, very different, I would say, this year. This comes in this big box like this. I won't show you the unboxing and all those things, but yeah, you get a lot of things in the box. We also get the charger. It's a 120 watt charger that we get in the box, but the charging speed is 90 watts, and I'll talk about the charging speeds also. And of course, yes, this is having the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 and all those things, cutting edge specs. The thing is that in India, this is sold for $1 lakh, and there is only one variant that is being sold in India that comes with 16 gigabytes of RAM and 512 gigabytes of storage. There is no other variant, and the only option that we have, let me remove, this is the default case that comes inside the box, and I've been using it with the case, and I'll tell you the reason why. Generally I don't use smartphones with without the case, but here I actually feel you should use it. And in fact, the quality of the case is actually good. It's not so you can definitely use it. So this is how this device actually looks without the case, and the build quality is fabulous. No issues regarding that. And this is actually they call it vegan leather nano whatever something coating or whatever, and yes, definitely feels like leather. So because of that, yes, it does give a very good grip. But if you notice, the camera actually juts out of this one. And yes, definitely we'll talk about the camera, but build quality, I have to say I do not have any problem with this one. The build quality is solid on this one, feels very, very reassuring. So that way in build quality, no issues, I have to say. So one thing to note is that initially when I got the phone, it felt a little bit top heavy, because as you can see, this camera module, everything is over actually here. So it is a little bit heavy, and you have to actually use it. You have to use your finger like this to actually rest it. That's how I was using it. Otherwise it becomes, if you just try to, it becomes very top heavy. But yeah, build quality is really good. Now coming to the screen on this one, and guys, I won't go over all the specs and all those things. You can just read the specs over here, and if you notice, again, top-notch specs. Every spec that you want is there. But there is one con that I've noticed, specifically for the variant that is sold in India, and I also believe in the international market. This, for some reason, it has dual nano SIM, but no support for eSIM, which is very, very surprising to me, because even the lower variant, that is the Xiaomi 14 that is officially sold in India, does come with eSIM support. So I was scratching my head why this decision. So that's the only nitpicking that I could find in terms of missing hardware on this device. Apart from that, every hardware spec, as you can see from the specs list, is actually there on this device. Okay, coming to the screen, as you can see, the screen quality, I like the screen quality. In fact, out of the box, the screen color calibration is done very, very well. In fact, some of you might feel that it's slightly muted. And if I take you to the display and brightness, if I go over here, image color scheme, sorry, as you can see, by default this is on the original Color Pro, and this is very, very color accurate. But you might feel that the colors are a little bit dull or something if you're coming from any other smartphone, because most of the smartphones are kept to at very high saturation. If you really want that, you can go and adjust it. But I felt a good balance is that if you go to the advanced setting here, here, if you just keep it to this P3, then the colors add a little bit of punch, but again, it doesn't look that oversaturated or something like that. So that way I would say the screen quality is very, very good. And again, it's a very high quality screen, 120 Hertz and all those things, so not an issue. The only nitpicking here again I have is that, again, these days, all these smartphone manufacturers are playing with that maximum brightness nit number game, and this also does. This says that the maximum brightness is that 3000 nits or whatever. It's the peak one, and you shouldn't worry about it. but in direct outdoor sun, I would say it's not super bright. Don't get me wrong, it's not like it's not legible or anything. It was easily legible, but if I compare with some other smartphones, other flagship smartphones, for example the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra or even the latest iPhone Pro, those definitely felt a lot brighter in outdoor sun. So that's what it is. Slight nitpicking that I have. It's not a deal breaker or anything, but I felt some of the other flagships were slightly brighter than this one. Okay, moving to the next thing. This also does have that stereo speakers on this one, and again you get those old all that shenanigans like Dolby Atmos and all those things. You can enable or disable it on this one. That is there. In fact, this is a strange thing. I am actually keeping the Dolby Atmos disabled on this for most of the time, because here in the sound effects, it has this default called Xiaomi sound, and I find this to be a little bit more wider compared to the Dolby Atmos. So yes, Dolby Atmos and all those things are there, and the stereo speakers are also actually loud and clear. Let me actually just show you, and let me just play this. Just skip this. As you can see, the stereo separation is very good, so that way it's nice, I would say, and also has slight depth towards it, so that's actually nice. And this is the maximum volume. So overall I would say the stereo speakers are actually pretty good, but again, if I start comparing it with some of the other flagship Android smartphones, here I would say those are slightly louder. For example, even the OnePlus 12's speakers I felt was slightly louder, and even the S24 Ultra. No way the speakers are bad on this one, but I'm just comparing with others. And in fact, some of you have asked me also compare it with the iPhone Pro series, how the stereo speakers. Again, loudness I don't have a problem. I felt that the iPhone Pro, the bass was slightly more than this one, so that's what it is. But the good thing is that apart from that, it supports all the higher codecs like LDAC, HDC, and all those things are actually supported. So if you have audio buds, words, etc., that support high-res audio, those are fully compatible with this one. Some people have also asked me on Twitter, just notice the camera bump. Yes, it's big, but if you just shake it, you will hear a noise. And I asked actually Xiaomi officials about this. They say this is completely normal with this one. In fact, as you can see, we have those multiple, actually 4 camera modules on this one, and 3 of them actually are having OIS, and one is actually a floating telephoto lens. That's why when you shake it, you get that slight noise, and they say that's perfectly normal. So that's what regarding the noise. Again, as I've told you, again, you have to use it with the case. Just notice how it looks without the case, but when I put it in the case, let me just show you. And now let's say this is the table. Now if I keep it, as you can see, it's resting on the case. That way my camera lens is slightly protected. That's the reason I'm actually using this device with the case. Okay, now coming to one more thing that some of you have asked me. I personally did not face that issue, and I was checking others people on Twitter also who complained about it, and I found only 2 other Indian users complaining about it, about the camera fogging on this one. They had a camera fogging issue with their devices, and one of them actually I replied, and I didn't get any answers. And I was checking some international forums also. People are saying that initially some of them got it, but it went off after some time. But personally, I did not have any fogging issues. I've been using it like this for the last 6 days. Just want to be very clear about that. Anyways, moving to the next thing is regarding battery lives. Many of you have asked, and this is the international variant that we are getting in India, and this is supposed to have a 5000 milliamp hour battery. One thing I really hate about Xiaomi and this new HyperOS is that it simply does not give you the screen on time values. So I had to actually install this battery AccuBattery Pro, and from here I was able to get battery stats. And in fact, let me actually show you some of the screenshots on the screen. In fact, I was very impressed with the battery life. The first day I did not actually get good battery life, and the device was actually heating quite a bit when I was setting it up. I'll talk about it later. But after that, I got one OT update and I had applied it the first day itself. After that, the battery life I'm getting is actually very, very good. And always I was keeping it at 120 Hertz and default that full HD plus. And here, I was using it with a single SIM, not with dual SIM. And here, anywhere, as you can see from these screenshots, I was getting a battery life of about 8 hours to even about 9.5 hours of screen on time with a typical full day of usage. So that way the battery life was very, very good. I even tried it on just on mobile data, and I got a battery life of what, 7.5 hours. In fact, some of you on Twitter had asked me to also set the screen resolution to the highest, that is Quad HD plus with that 120 Hertz. And yes, I did that also. And there I got screen on time of about 7.5 hours. So yes, if you enable that Quad HD plus from that full HD plus, I'm noticing a decrease of about 1.5 hours of screen on time. Needless to say, the battery life on this one was good. If you can easily get about anywhere above 8 hours of SOT to even 9 hours based on your usage, I feel the battery life is good. In fact, if I have to compare it with some of the other Android smartphones that come with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 that I have used, I would say the battery life is very close to the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra that I was getting. But yes, the OnePlus 12 gave me slightly better battery life. The OnePlus 12, in fact, sometimes actually exceeded 10 hours of SOT. But needless to say, the battery life that I was getting on this one is good. That's not bad at all. I've seen some people just getting about 4.5 hours of screen on time. I don't know what's the issue, but I checked with some of the other users, also Indian users, and most of them actually said to me that they were getting good battery life. In fact, I would strongly urge that apply that first OTA update. I was also getting terrible battery life before the first OTA update. Okay, moving to the next thing is regarding cellular calls. How are they? And I've been using this smartphone for the last 6 days with my primary SIM, so a lot of calls, etc. And I have to say, no issues regarding calls. Calls are clear. I tried it on Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi calling works. Direct cellular calls, I did not have any issues. No proximity sensor issue whatsoever. The only nitpicking here I have with calls is that, and I don't know, this can be easily fixed by Xiaomi with the software update. When I was invoking the speakerphone when I was taking the calls, for some reason, even when I was keeping the volume at the maximum level, it was not that loud. And I know the speakers, you just saw that the speakers could go a lot higher. So I don't know why Xiaomi is artificially limiting the volume on when you take the calls via the speakerphone. Don't get me wrong, it's very quiet or something, but I wished it was slightly louder, because once I was just taking a call in the car, I wished it went louder, I would say. Moving to the battery charging speeds, the good thing is that you get the charger, that is 120 watt charger, but the built-in charging maximum capacity is 90 watts. And here I would say I was expecting it to charge a lot faster, to be very, very frank. By default, there is something known as boost charging in this one. Let me actually show you. If we go to the charging, and if I go and search it, let's search for boost over here, boost charging. Boost charging speed. By default, this is actually disabled. And I was actually charging it just like this when the boost charging was disabled, and when the smartphone was at about 15%, I kept it on charge, and I would say it was taking anywhere about 45 to almost 50 minutes to charge fully, which was a lot slower, I would say, compared to what I expected. But I found that you have to actually enable boost charging for that actual really, really fast charging. And if you enable that, then it charges from, I didn't time it, from 0 to 100% in 35 minutes. I did try boost charging for 15 minutes, but trust me guys, I will not recommend boost charging on this device, because when I enabled boost charging, the handset was heating up like crazy. By default also, when you just charge it, it is obviously a fast charging. even without the boost charging, so the handset gets warm when you charge it. But specifically enable boost charging, the handset gets uncomfortably hot. So I would say just beware about those charging speeds, though it supports that 90-watt charging. Here, definitely I would say the OnePlus's VOOC charging or whatever they have, if I remember, the OnePlus 12 was charging fully below 30 minutes, and the handset simply did not get as hot as this one was getting. So that's regarding the charging that we have on this one. Okay, now moving to the camera on this one, I think so anybody who's purchasing this smartphone, this is a smartphone that costs a lakh, will purchase it because of this. If you are a camera enthusiast or photographer, because of this camera setup that we have. The lenses are actually made by Leica. These are the Summilux lens, the collaboration what Xiaomi has. So these are actually those Leica lenses. And the main sensor, the good thing is that all cameras are 50 megapixel on this one, but the main sensor is actually a 1-inch sensor. This is a new sensor. I'll have it in the down notes, and this can actually take in a lot of light, because this is actually having a variable aperture, that is f 1.64 to f4, and this is the main lens, and here we actually have blades which actually physically move. You can actually set that aperture manually in this, so you have a lot of control. Apart from that, we have the 3.2x zoom camera. This is mostly used for portraits and something, and I thought I won't use this camera a lot, but the pictures that come out of this one are also amazing. Then of course we also have that 5x telephoto floating lens camera, what they call that 5x zoom that it has. That's a 120 mm. And apart from that, we also have ultra wide, which is actually a lot wider. This is actually 12 mm. So all the cameras that are there on the back are very, very functional, and in fact very, very high quality cameras on this one. The front camera, this one is just a 32 megapixel, I would say, but here I feel they did a little bit of shortcuts, because this is not a Sony sensor. The back ones, most of them are actually Sony sensor. Here it's a 32 megapixel camera, but again, this I feel is a huge improvement, the front facing camera, compared to the last year's Xiaomi 13 Pro that I had actually tested. But the camera interface is actually very, very functional on this one. In fact, this has to be one of the fastest flagship in terms of camera shutter. For example, here this is 1x I'm keeping, and if you just see, it's just taking the photograph and the photograph is ready. No processing time or anything. So it's a super fast one, and even in zoom and all these things, as you can see. So that's super, super fast. You can directly adjust the exposure from here. Very easy. Directly you can move to the zoom. In fact, one thing I noticed is that if you zoom above 30x, there is something known as AI that kicks in. And in fact, I'll show you one of the photographs, and I feel that actually works. And the camera is fully functional over here. By default, there is one thing that I noticed with this one, and you have to make this decision. If you click, when you're taking the photograph, you can set it to Leica Vibrant or Leica Authentic. And the colors will change based on that. On Vibrant, obviously, like typical smartphones, the pictures are slightly saturated. Authentic, the pictures might look a little bit bland. So that is something that you have to do. And also in portrait mode, you have to do, there are two options that you have. By default, it will go to that 75 mm, but you can change it to others. Here, we have the Leica portrait, and we also have the master portrait. And here also, again, the contrast and the colors change a little bit based on the selection that you do. Apart from that, we also have the standard filters and all those things. For example, if you want that Leica black and white and all those things, you have those Leica high contrast also and all this. And I have taken some samples, so I'll show you that. But enough of talking. Let me actually show you the samples and the photographs that I got with this device. Let's start with some outdoor shots, and because of the 1-inch sensor, and you can get these shots very easily. This was regular shot, and this I used the 5x zoom, and here I actually used the macro mode. And as you can see here, I used the 3.2x telephoto zoom, and here the 5x, this was at 1x. So you can get some very good shots with this one. Even with this was with 3.2x, even with the zoom lens, we can take that close-up macro shots. And again, because of the main sensor that's so big and the wide aperture, these are the shots that you get even without the portrait mode. Regular shots also come out good with the main sensor, and as you can see, the color reproduction is very good. The pictures have a very natural vibe and feels like you're taking the pictures from a DSLR, because I think so this smartphone does not try to artificially over sharpen every picture that you take. These pictures I took in my office by closing all the lights, and very little light was bleeding from the curtains, but then also see how much good the photographs are. It did not try to over brighten the picture, and the pictures were very close to what it was in reality. Some pictures just before the sunset, and again because of the big sensor it lets in so much light, so even shots taken at night were actually good. It actually rained yesterday and this was taken at night. This portrait was taken in the portrait Leica mode, and in this mode it adds a little bit of extra contrast, but we also have the master portrait mode. Of course, the smartphone also has the Leica black and white filters, and when you invoke that, you get a very nostalgic pictures like this. Now to give you an idea about zoom, this is at 1x and I'm trying to zoom into that crane. This is actually 5x zoom, and here I've digitally zoomed to about 32x, and here this was 52x. To give you an idea, this was at 1x. These were shot with the 32 megapixel front facing camera, and here I enabled the portrait bokeh mode, and I have to say the front facing camera pics actually came out pretty good. Shooting with the rear facing camera, and I've actually kept it at 4K. You can even set it to actually 8K, and I'm just walking to give you an idea how is the stabilization. At least in the preview it looks good. And let's see the dynamic range, shadowed area, and just let's point it to the sky, and it's bright sunny day, so looks like it's able to handle that abrupt exposure. Again, I'm going to climb the stairs to see how it handles the stabilization, and as you can see I'm just climbing the stairs. It looks like the OS is doing the job. And the good thing is that within shooting the video also you can zoom in. This is the 2x, this is the 3.2x zoom, and this is the 5x zoom. So let me just go back to 1x. So in terms of video, definitely I will see an improvement done on this Xiaomi 14 Ultra. Shooting this video at night, as you can see, and it actually just was raining and it's quite windy. Surprisingly, it actually rained today, and just wanted to quickly give you an idea about video recording at night. And we can zoom within the video also. This is that 2x zoom. Let me just go to that 3.2x. As you can see, this is that 3.2x. Let me just go to even the 5x zoom. So this is the 5x, and let me just go back again. This is 3.2, and let me jump back to that 1x. Now shooting a video with the front facing camera, and the big improvement I would say is now finally we can shoot video in 4K, and it's very hot sunny day today. So let's just walk around. One thing I'm noticing is that background, if you notice, the sky is sort of overblown. So there they need to do the optimization, but at least it's trying to lit up my face properly. Again, walking in very hot bright sun to give you an idea how it's doing. And again, this is in 4K, guys. 4K up to 60 is actually supported. So background is also fine, but sky, I think so there it's blowing up the detail. Sample video shot in indoor conditions, and here again, as you can see, if you're just shooting like this, that'll be fine. But again, with the front facing camera, again, this is a window where the light is coming, and that is sort of blown out. So I hope they are able to fix this with the OTA update. And regarding heating, some of you have asked me, while regular using the phone, I did not face any heating apart from that boost charging. When you charge it, it becomes hot. And of course, it actually gets quite warm and hot to touch also when you are continuously using the camera. But that is something that I've noticed with almost any other smartphone also. If you continuously use the smartphone with the camera, it becomes hot. And that's the tendency even with this one. Shooting the sample with the front facing camera at night, as you can see, this is in artificial lighting conditions. Just wanted to give you an idea how will be the front facing camera's performance in actually very dull lighting conditions. As you can see, like hardly any light over here. but this should give you an idea how will be the video recording in low lighting conditions with the front facing camera. So that was the camera, and I am thoroughly impressed with the camera performance of this smartphone. I would say you buy this smartphone specifically just for the camera, I feel. And the only other Android smartphone that came close to this one, I would say, that I have tested personally is the Vivo X100 Pro, I would say. But again, if you are truly a photographer and you can play a little bit of with the manual modes and you know what you're doing, you can get so much out of this smartphone. But yeah, that was the camera part about this one. But now let's also talk about the software on this one. As I've told you, this comes with that Xiaomi's own Hyper OS, which is based on Android 14. So the layout etc has changed a little bit, as you can see over here. So here, if I go to about the phone, that Hyper OS and all those things, as you can see on this one. Out of the box comes with Android 14, and Xiaomi is promising next 4 years of Android upgrades on this one, and 5 years of security updates on this one. And overall, I would say it's a clean experience that you are getting on this one. But yes, there were some softwares that were pre-installed on this smartphone. For example, I have made some folders. These were the PhonePe, Netflix, Amazon. Facebook was also actually pre-installed on this one. I removed Facebook. I always remove Facebook. But these were the some of the extra apps, I would say, that were pre-installed on this smartphone. And you can uninstall them. Apart from that, again, as it's a Xiaomi smartphone, these were some of the useful system apps that were also pre-installed on this. I don't mind them because the quality of them is actually very good. So these were some of the apps. In fact, there is also a IR blaster here on this one. In fact, it works very well, and in fact I've configured my AC and even my Atombook fan with this one, and I can actually control with this one. So that actually works very well, not an issue. But apart from that, this is still a Xiaomi smartphone, so you're also getting quite a bit of Xiaomi specific apps over here. For example, that Gets app, some Xiaomi services, Mi Home, this Mi Store, this some music app, Themes app, and all these things are actually also pre-installed. Most of these actually don't bother to me. The only thing I had to disable is that Gets app, because this was giving me some notifications. So I just went over here, and in the notifications, in fact, I disabled all the notifications, and I had to do the same thing for the themes. And after doing that, I did not get any unnecessary notifications or anything like that. But I don't like the fact that Xiaomi is trying to bundle this Mi Store, this Mi Home, this Mi Music, and all of this things with this smartphone. It's not a deal breaker or anything personally for me, but at this price point, I would say they should have removed some of these unnecessary apps, in my frank opinion. Overall, I would say I did not have any issues with operating the phone. It's very fluid. I have kept it to 120 Hz, used it even on that Quad HD Plus, and never I faced any lag or anything. In fact, also, as this is actually having that huge 16 gigabytes of RAM management was also not an issue. I personally feel this smartphone, I feel, is for people who are really passionate about photography, and they know what they are doing with the photographs, and they want that manual control and stuff like that. So this smartphone is specifically for that. Apart from that, in general day-to-day performance, like a high-end smartphone, also I did not have an issue. I completely forgot about the haptic feedback. The haptic feedback is also very good and strong on this smartphone. The only other smartphone, Android smartphone, that beats this one in terms of haptic feedback would be the Pixel 8 Pro. So guys, that was my impressions etc about this Xiaomi 14 Ultra. I might also post another video on this one later on. So if you want to know anything specific about this one, do let me know in the comment section below. Anyways guys, that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and if you guys are still not subscribed to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. This is Ranjit, and I hope to see you in my next video. Take care guys.